Judge Pat Carroll, and I serve as the Chief Court Administrator for the Connecticut Judicial Branch. I'd like to welcome you all to the 2021 annual meeting of the judges of the Superior Court. As you know, this is the second time that we have conducted this annual meeting virtually via the Microsoft Teams platform. We are also live streaming the meeting onto the Judicial Branch's YouTube channel so that members of the press, the public, and our judge trial referees may also observe the meeting. I'd ask that you all disable your video and audio during the meeting unless you have been identified and are actually speaking. Because all votes taken at this annual meeting must be recorded in the meeting minutes, we will be following a process that should make virtual voting easier. On each vote taken, either Justice McDonald or I will identify who is making and seconding the motions, and we will then ask only for no votes. If you wish to vote no, you will be asked to enable your audio and video, at which point you will be recognized and asked to identify yourself for the record, and then cast your no vote. All other than recorded no votes will be presumed to be votes in the affirmative and will be recorded as such in the meeting minutes. So let's move to item 2 on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes of the annual meeting of the judges, which took place on June 26th, 2020. Those minutes were posted for review on the Connecticut Judicial Branch's website, and you've had an opportunity to review them. At this point, may I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Seconded.
Judge Abrams moves the approval of the minutes, and it has been seconded by Judge Gold. Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? If not, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative, and the meeting minutes are approved. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of the State of Connecticut, Richard A. Robinson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to begin my remarks by thanking you, my colleagues, for all that you've done to keep the judicial branch operating during what must have been, if not one of the most challenging experiences of our lives. I also want to thank the new judges for hitting the ground running. The impact of your efforts is already being felt by the branch and by the people that we serve. All of your work has paid off. During the month of May of 2021, for example, we disposed of more criminal cases than came in for the first time since the pandemic began. We could not have reached this important milestone without you. And as always, I am grateful for your dedication and your support. We do not, however, operate in a vacuum. Our marshals, clerks, court recording monitors, bail commissioners, detention center workers, and many other dedicated and courageous public-facing employees reported for work in the darkest days of the pandemic, even before masks were available. And as many others remain home within the comfort and safety of their houses. When you think about it, our role in society is so important that there never was any choice but for us to stay open. And we did, because of you, the branch's and the branch's outstanding employees. At no time did we ever close all of our facilities. For safety's sake, however, we did limit court activity to priority matters during the first few months of the pandemic to keep the public, the bar, the judges, and the staff safe, while undertaking our most critical functions. Yet as the pandemic marched on, the branch also increased its capacity to safely manage court activity through the creation and the rapid expansion of virtual courtrooms. In addition, as safety permitted, the branch expanded in-person activity and the number of court locations. Numbers help us illustrate where we were for the last 16 months ago, as compared to where we are now. During the first 3 months of the pandemic, 2,800 criminal cases were disposed of. In contrast, from March 2021 through May 2021, we've disposed of over 22,000 criminal cases through both virtual and in-person hearings. And we continue to increase in-person activity and are moving towards pre-pandemic activity levels. Our positive trajectory is most evident in last month's numbers for criminal, which showed our first full month of more disposed of cases than had been added since the pandemic began. In short, we have realized steady and safe progress, and we have started reducing our active criminal pending caseload. Moreover, with the resumption of jury trials this month, we anticipate continued and even accelerating progress moving forward. Civil and family, meanwhile, have been plugging along as well. Inherently, these two disciplines have had more flexibility to handle their cases remotely than criminal, which by nature requires that many proceedings be in person, which could not occur as soon as we wanted because of the health and safety concerns. Thus, within that context, the number of pending criminal cases started decreasing in October 2020, and families pending caseload started decreasing in January of 2021. Needless to say, our chief administrative judges deserve recognition. Judge Jim Abrams, Judge Mike Albus, Judge Bernadette Conway worked tirelessly throughout the pandemic and also led efforts to keep their various constituencies informed. Judge Joan Alexander did similar work on the criminal side, and following her elevation to the appellate court, Judge David Gold stepped in. 21 years ago, David and I were classmates in judge school, and I cannot be more prouder of my classmate for stepping up to the challenge like he did on such short notice. I don't know what we'd have done without him and our other CAJs. It is impossible to highlight these achievements without also mentioning our Chief Court Administrator, Judge Patrick Carroll, and our Deputy Chief Court Administrator, Judge Beth Bozzuto. I suppose that if I had another 2 days, I could list all of those who did help to keep the branch operating and help to make the people safe. I must add the fact that for months on end, Judge Carroll and Judge Bozzuto worked around the clock. And though they would probably never publicly admit it, I know from my own personal experience that dealing with the pandemic kept them up many nights. It's a lonely place to be when thousands of people, members of the public, litigants, the bar, staff, and judges are depending on you during a crisis, the likes of which we have never seen before. So to both of you, thank you. I appreciate you much more than you ever will know. I look forward to seeing how the branch will continue to evolve over the next several months. Our core values have never changed, and they won't. But we are a stronger, leaner, and more technologically savvy judicial branch that is going forward. I am so very proud of you and all our employees. Thank you again for all that you do. I am very optimistically looking forward to the possibility of having next year's annual meeting in person. I'll now turn over the virtual podium to Senior Associate Justice Andrew McDonald for the report of the Rules Committee. Thank you.
And thank you, Chief, for those comments. I want to first thank the members of the Rules Committee who have worked so hard during this pandemic as well to discharge its responsibilities. And I would be remiss if I did not also thank the legal staff who has helped us so capably during the COVID pandemic to still discharge our responsibilities. At this time, regarding the amendments set forth in Appendix A, which were forwarded to you for use at this meeting, the Rules Committee recommends that the amendments to subsection B of Section 3-8 and the amendments to Section 35A-21, which were adopted by the judges on an interim basis on June 26, 2020, and made effective upon promulgation, and which were the subject of a public hearing held on May 10th, 2021, remain in effect uninterrupted. And for the purposes of a motion to adopt that recommendation, I'll recognize Judge Gennario.
So moved.
And is there a second from Judge Truglia?
Yes, there is. Second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? If not, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. And bear with me, folks, this is a long couple of motions we have to do here. It is recommended that the remaining amendments to the practice book contained in Appendix A be adopted. Is there a motion to adopt this recommendation, Judge Gennario?
So moved.
And does Judge Truglia second that motion?
There is a second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? If not, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. As regards the amendments to subsection G of section 2-35 that were just adopted as one of the amendments within Appendix A, it is further recommended that those amendments become effective upon promulgation by publication in the Connecticut Law Journal, and that the provisions of section 1-9A requiring that a rule not become effective less than 60 days after promulgation be waived due to circumstances that require those amendments to be adopted expeditiously. Is there a motion to adopt this recommendation, Judge Gennaro?
So moved.
And is it further seconded by Judge Truglia?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? If not, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. It is further recommended that all other amendments to the practice book contained in Appendix A, which were just adopted, become effective on January 1st, 2022. Is there a motion to adopt this recommendation, Judge Gennaro?
So moved.
And is it seconded again by Judge Truglia?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? If not, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. Regarding the amendments set forth in Appendix B, which contains emergency rules adopted, amended, or suspended by the Rules Committee of the Superior Court pursuant to its authority under Section 1-9B of the practice book, and adopted by the judges on an interim basis on June 26, 2020, which were the subject of a public hearing held on May 10th, 2021, and which were forwarded to you for use at this meeting, it is recommended that the suspension of Section 2-27A concerning minimum continuing legal education requirements for calendar year 2020 and allowing MCLE credits earned by attorneys in 2020 to be carried over completely to 2021, even in excess of the rule's 2-hour limit, remain in effect and uninterrupted. Is there a motion to adopt this recommendation, Judge Gennaro?
So moved.
And is it seconded, Judge Truglia?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? If not, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. It is further recommended that the amendments to Section 23-68 and Section 44-10A concerning the use of interactive audiovisual devices in civil, family, criminal matters remain in effect uninterrupted. Is there a motion to adopt this recommendation, Judge Gennaro?
So moved.
Is there a second, Judge Truglia?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? If not, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. It is further recommended that Section E3-22 concerning certified law school graduates, expanding the legal intern rules in sections 3-14 through 3-21, remain in effect until no later than November 15th, 2021. Is there a motion to adopt this recommendation, Judge Gennaro?
So moved.
And is there a second, Judge Truglia?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? If not, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. It is further recommended that the remaining amendments to the practice book contained in Appendix B remain in effect until no later than the expiration of the declared emergencies. Is there a motion to adopt this recommendation, Judge Gennaro?
So moved.
And is there a second, Judge Truglia?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? If not, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. It is further recommended that the reporter of judicial decisions may make editorial and technical changes to the amendments, including changes in the section numbers and subsection letters. Is there a motion to adopt this recommendation, Judge Gennaro?
So moved.
Is there a second, Judge Truglia?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? If not, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. I appreciate everybody's patience as we work through this business, and I'd like to turn the meeting back over to Judge Carroll.
Thank you, Justice McDonald, for a great report, a difficult report. Appreciate it. Let's turn now to item number 5 on the agenda, which will be to recognize certain milestones within the judicial branch. I'd like to start off by recognizing our newest justice of the Supreme Court and our newest judges of the appellate court. Justice Christine Keller became a justice of the Supreme Court on August 12th, 2020, after serving many years as a judge of the appellate court and a judge of the Superior Court. Judges Melanie L. Cradle, Joan K. Alexander, Jose A. Suarez were all sworn in as judges of the appellate court on August 12th, 2020, after serving as judges of the Superior Court. Judge Robert W. Clark was sworn in as a judge of the appellate court on March 23rd, 2021. Routinely at this point, I would now call on our new judges to stand up and be introduced to the assemblage of judges. Unfortunately, due to the circumstances of this meeting, we're not able to do so. So with the help of our IT team and our judicial branch ID card photos, our new judges are William F. Clark, Kimberly Massacote, Edward V. O'Hanlon, Chris Pelosi, John Sorello, Carletha Parkinson, Linda Allard, Gordon Hall, Michael Gustafson, Gladys Idalis Nieves, Carla Nascimento, Angelica Papastavros, Maximino Medina, Najidi Moses, and Jessica Torres. We welcome you all to the bench. We also have several judges who have completed or will soon be completing their terms as chief administrative judges or administrative judges. I'll recognize them now, and we will be getting their coveted judicial branch plaques of appreciation in the near future. They are Judge Joan Alexander, who served as the Chief Administrative Judge of the Criminal Division from September 4, 2017 to August 11, 2020. Judge Bernadette Conway has served as Chief Administrative Judge of the Juvenile Division since September 2nd, 2013. Judge Jose A. Suarez served as Administrative Judge of the Middlesex Judicial District from September 4, 2017 to August 11, 2020. Judge Hilary Strackbine has served as Administrative Judge of the New London Judicial District since September 5th, 2016. Judge Robert L. Genario has served as the Administrative Judge of the Stamford Norwalk Judicial District since September 5th, 2016. And Judge Edward C. Graziani has served as the Administrative Judge of the Windham Judicial District from September 7, 2015 to September 13, 2020. On behalf of the judicial branch and all of your colleagues, we thank you all for your commendable service. I'd now like to take a moment to recognize our colleagues who have passed away since the last annual meeting of the judges. Judge Joe Koleski, a Yale Law School graduate and U.S. Navy veteran. Judge Koleski was in private practice in New London before being appointed to the bench in 1985. Joe remained very proud of his military service and joined a Connecticut Navy JAG Reserve unit, from which he retired as a captain in 1992. Joe passed away on August 8th, 2020. Known as Billy, Judge Antoinette DuPont was the first woman to serve as Chief Judge of the Appellate Court. She was both a trailblazer and a brilliant collegial judge who graduated in 1954 as part of the second class of women to attend Harvard Law School. Judge DuPont was in private practice in New London before her appointment to the bench in 1977. She was elevated to the appellate court 6 years later and served as chief judge from 1984 until taking senior status in 1997. Afterwards, she served as a judge trial referee and heard cases into her late 80s before retiring in 2016. She passed away on September 2, 2020. Judge Thayer Baldwin Jr. attended Yale University and Georgetown Law School. Before being appointed to the bench in 2001, Judge Baldwin served as Corporation Counsel for the City of New Haven and also as Health Commissioner for the State of Connecticut. He passed away on December 9th, 2020. Judge Frederica Brenneman was devoted to juvenile justice. She became a Superior Court judge in 1978 when the Juvenile Court merged with the Superior Court. Judge Brenneman helped found Children in Placement, pushed for stronger legal protections for children, and trained many people regarding juvenile court procedures. Judge Brenneman retired from the bench in 2017 and passed away on March 15, 2021. Judge Jonathan J. Kaplan was appointed to the bench at age 39. A graduate of UConn Law School, he quickly distinguished himself as a hardworking public servant. His kindness and caring nature also earned him the admiration and respect of his colleagues and staff. Judge Kaplan served as administrative judge of the Tolland Judicial District for 10 years. Judge Kaplan passed away on April 23rd, 2021. Judge Roland D. Fasano was a consummate jurist, athlete, legal scholar, and friend. He started his legal career with his dad in private practice, but later joined the New Haven State's Attorney's Office, where he routinely handled the most serious and complicated cases. He was appointed to the bench in 1990 and served in Bridgeport, New Britain, Hartford, New Haven, and Waterbury. He became a judge trial referee in 2018 and assisted in lightening the burden of his colleagues throughout the pandemic. Judge Fasano passed away on May 3rd, 2021. Judge Richie Arnold worked as an assistant clerk in the Connecticut Circuit Court system before opening his own practice in 1975. In 1996, he was appointed as a Superior Court judge. He loved being a judge and presided over matters in Norwalk, Bridgeport, and Milford. Rich was known and will be remembered for his desire to cultivate fellowship among his fellow judges, largely by organizing and executing his very popular golf tournament each year. Judge Arnold really never retired. He handled short calendar and remote matters through his illness, through the pandemic, and wrote decisions even in the week before his death, just a few days ago. Judge Arnold passed away on June 1st, 2001. I would ask that we all share a moment of silence to recognize our departed colleagues. Thank you. Turning now to item 6 on the agenda is the election of 4 judges to be members of the Rules Committee of the Superior Court. The 4 judges to be elected by the judges are, in addition to the Chief Justice's appointment of 4 additional judge members of the Rules Committee and 1 Supreme Court Justice as committee chair, for a total Rules Committee membership of 9. The chair of the nominating committee, Judge Robin Pavia, has provided me with the following nominations to serve on the Rules Committee for 1-year terms, commencing July 1, 2021. Judge Susan Quinn Cobb, Judge Anthony D. Trulia, Judge Holly Avery Whetstone, and Judge John B. Farley. At this point, I'd ask for a motion to elect the slate of candidates as submitted by the nominating committee.
So moved.
Judge Abrams has moved it. Is there a second?
Second.
seconded by Judge Gold. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? If not, then the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. Turning to item 7 on the agenda, Section 51-51K of the Connecticut General Statutes provides that members of the Judicial Review Council shall be appointed by the governor from a list of judges who are not justices of the Supreme Court and have been selected by the judges of the Superior Court. For the first vacancy on the Judicial Review Council, Judge Pavia, as chair of the nominating committee, has submitted the names of Judge Dawn G. Westbrook and Judge Karen A. Gaudreau as nominees for submission to the governor, one of whom shall be appointed by the governor for a term of 3 years to replace Judge Anna M. Faceto as an alternate member of the Judicial Review Council commencing on December 1, 2021. May I have a motion to accept the recommendation of the nominating committee to fill the first vacancy on the Judicial Review Council?
So moved.
Judge Abrams has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Judge Gold. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, all votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. For the second vacancy on the Judicial Review Council, Judge Pavia, as chair of the nominating committee, has submitted the names of Judge Vernon D. Oliver and Judge Kevin A. Randolph as nominees for submission to the governor, one of whom shall be appointed by the governor for a term of 3 years to replace Judge Laura F. Baldini as an alternate member of the Judicial Review Council, commencing December 1st, 2021. May I have a motion to accept the recommendation of the nominating committee to fill the second vacancy on the Judicial Review Council?
So moved.
It's been moved by Judge Abrams. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Judge Gold. The motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. Item 8 on the agenda. The Executive Committee at its meeting on May 25th, 2021, made recommendations to the full bench concerning annual appointments of certain judicial branch employees and individuals to serve on various panels and committees of the judicial branch. These recommendations were approved by the Executive Committee on May 25th, 2021 at that meeting. They were posted on the judicial branch's website and emailed to each of you in advance of this meeting. At this point, I would ask for a motion to approve and adopt such actions by the Executive Committee.
So moved.
Judge Abrams has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Judge Gold. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Are there any no votes? Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, the votes of all present will be recorded in the affirmative. Turning to item 9 on the agenda, a motion to adjourn. There being no further business to come before the meeting, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So moved.
Moved by Judge Abrams. Is there a second?
Second.
Judge Gold has seconded. I assume there are no votes, no votes and no abstentions. So the meeting is adjourned. I thank you all for your attention. And I think that given the challenges of technology, this went off pretty well.